Pablo Escobar, a name whispered in fear, etched in blood. Born in rural poverty, he rose to become a titan of crime. He was a ruthless drug lord, a cunning businessman, a phantom. His empire cocaine, his tool terror. Escobar started small, a petty thief with a burning ambition. He craved power, respect, wealth. He saw an opportunity in the burgeoning cocaine trade. It would be his springboard to infamy. He was a natural leader, charismatic and ruthless. He gathered a loyal band of criminals and outcasts. They became his enforcers, his eyes and ears, his instruments of fear. Medellín, the city of eternal spring, would become his kingdom. The cocaine trade exploded. Demand in the United States was insatiable. Escobar was perfectly positioned to seize control. He built clandestine labs, smuggling routes, a vast criminal network. Money poured in, a tidal wave of dirty cash. He bribed officials, judges, politicians. Those who resisted met a gruesome end. Escobar's ruthlessness was legendary. He ruled by fear, silencing opposition with a bullet. He was judge, jury, and executioner. His wealth became obscene. He built mansions, amassed exotic animals, lived like an emperor. But paranoia gnawed at him. He knew his empire was built on blood and cocaine. He saw enemies everywhere. The Medellín Cartel, with Escobar at its head, tightened its grip on Colombia. They controlled every stage of the cocaine trade, from production to distribution. Their wealth and influence seemed limitless. Escobar's reach extended far beyond the criminal underworld. He cultivated a Robin Hood image, building schools and hospitals in impoverished neighborhoods. He was a benefactor, a patron, a dark messiah. But his generosity was a mask, a way to buy loyalty and silence dissent. Those who crossed him, who dared to challenge his authority, paid the ultimate price. Journalists, politicians, judges, innocent bystanders, all fell victim to his reign of terror. Medellín became a battleground. Car bombs exploded, shattering the night. Gunfire echoed through the streets. The police were outmatched, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. Escobar's sicarios, his assassins, operated with impunity. Fear permeated every aspect of life. People were afraid to speak, afraid to act, afraid to even leave their homes. Children learned to recognize the sound of gunfire. Parents whispered prayers for their safety. Escobar declared war on the Colombian government. He vowed to fight extradition to the United States, to keep his empire intact. His campaign of violence escalated, targeting anyone who stood in his way. Section 5. Blood on the Streets. The streets of Medellín ran red with blood. Every day brought news of assassinations, bombings, kidnappings. Escobar's reign of terror reached its zenith. He seemed untouchable, a phantom beyond the reach of justice. The violence spilled beyond Colombia's borders. Escobar's assassins struck at targets in the United States and Europe. He became a global threat, a symbol of the corrosive power of the drug trade. The world watched in horror as Colombia descended into chaos. The government seemed powerless to stop the bloodshed. Escobar's grip on the country was absolute. He was the law. But even in the darkest hour, there was hope. A small, dedicated group of Colombian police officers and soldiers refused to give up. They formed a special unit, Search Block, dedicated to bringing Escobar down. They faced an almost impossible task. Escobar had an army of loyal followers, a vast network of informants, and unlimited resources. He seemed to be everywhere and nowhere, a ghost haunting the streets of Medellín. But the Search Block was relentless. They gathered intelligence, infiltrated his network, and closed in on his inner circle. They were aided by the United States, who provided training, equipment, and intelligence. The net began to close around Escobar. His lieutenants were captured or killed. His empire, built on violence and fear, began to crumble. His paranoia intensified. He became a prisoner in his own gilded cage. The Colombian government offered a reward for information leading to his capture. Millions of dollars, a chance to escape the cycle of violence. People began to turn on him, whispering secrets, betraying their former master. His world, once vast and powerful, shrank to a few safe houses, a handful of loyal followers. He was constantly on the move, hunted by the shadows of his past, haunted by the ghosts of his victims. On December 2nd, 1993, the hunt for Pablo Escobar came to an end. He was cornered in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellín. A shootout erupted. The kingpin, once invincible, lay dead on a rooftop. His death was met with mixed emotions. Relief, certainly, but also for some, a sense of loss. Escobar, for all his evil, was seen by some as a symbol of defiance, a champion of the poor. His legacy is complex and contested. He was a ruthless killer, responsible for the deaths of thousands. He was also a shrewd businessman, a master manipulator, a product of his environment. Pablo Escobar is gone, but his shadow still hangs over Colombia. The drug trade continues, fueled by poverty, inequality, and insatiable demand. New cartels have risen, vying for control of the lucrative cocaine routes. The cycle of violence, though diminished, has not been broken. The scars of Escobar's reign of terror run deep. But Colombia is a nation rebuilding, seeking to heal the wounds of the past. The story of Pablo Escobar is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the seductive power of wealth, the corrosive nature of violence, and the enduring human capacity for both good and evil.